this is a huge gap in the resource protection programs, is that there are no specific standards for groundwater. There are standards for drinking water, and some of those are applied in protection of our groundwater that is a drinking water source. But there are no standards just to protect the groundwater resource for its own sake.
This leads to the next question.
Inasmuch as we keep drilling more wells for development, how soon will it be until we suck the aquifers almost dry?
Well, that would really be a question better answered by someone that's more attuned to the water resource use and development end of things. And I would just say that we need to recognize the interconnectedness. One of the concerns I have is when you start over-pumping aquifers and you start drawing things that you may actually draw contaminants as well as drawing salt water in and jeopardizing your freshwater supply. You may also be drawing contaminants if there are contaminated soils, old military sites, ag contamination, ag chemicals, that kind of thing. So I think those are real concerns. I believe that that's really one of the areas where we need improvement in our management programs.
What's our stance on that?
Comment to the Department of Health, comment to the EPA. I'm sorry.
He's saying he doesn't have a line to the Department of Health.
Well, they are on the web. If you search for Hawaii Department of Health, you can find their programs. I understand your frustration of trying to deal with that, because I always ask people when they say Department of Health or EPA, I'm like, which Department of Health, which EPA? Because there's so many facets to it. But this is where what you can do as a group or a community is important, because these are hard questions and I can't answer them all, and we could get a whole panel of experts up here and not agree on an answer. So as a group, you can educate yourself and come up with what you think you want to do and do it. And I would encourage you to do that. I think that is an issue that needs to be addressed, that we really don't have strong protection of our groundwater.
I would recommend going to GPAC as a start, talking about the need for these kind of management programs and issues to be addressed. Make your voice heard.
I would also say that most of these things require action at local government, state government, and federal government levels. For instance, one of the biggest problems that we're going to have as we try to solve this wastewater problem is how to pay for it. And the Clean Water Act envisioned that Congress would make grants, which they did for many years, to wastewater facilities, and they currently still make low-interest loans. But the professionals in this field have been heavily lobbying Congress for almost 10 years now, saying that we're headed for a public health disaster if we don't put more money into water and wastewater treatment.
One more question, and then we have one more short slideshow. Bye. So, a couple of things. The Grand Wailea did a presentation at our Board of Water Supply meeting last month, and they explained to us how they are taking the water from their cooling towers and recycling it and using it for irrigation. So I noticed that you had mentioned about the hotel's cooling towers, and I just wanted to clarify that at least one of our hotels is paying attention. And there was something else about the and the spokesperson for the Grand Wailea, their facilities management director, said that if the county wanted to get the transmission lines down to them, they would love to use some of that R1 water. So, anyway.
I think it's a really fortunate thing that reuse of properly treated wastewater is something that most of us can get behind. And so, I know that this is a high priority for the mayor and that she's forming a task force to work on this. It hasn't really been announced yet, but it will be soon. I think what we all need to keep in mind about reuse is that it's not a silver bullet. do than what we're doing now. It's something that certainly has so many benefits associated with it that it's obviously worth investigating and probably worth doing. It does cost money. And what I'd like you to remember most of all about reuse is if we do that on a big enough scale, it could still be a problem. Just because you're putting it on the ground doesn't mean it's not delivering pollutant load to the ocean. It may be delivering less because the soil microorganisms, remember from the nitrogen cycle slide, can act on that and help remove some of that nitrogen. But there are many other constituents of wastewater that would not be removed and are not removed by treatment. So if we load up the island with reuse, I mean, that's not a capless, unlimited thing. That's something that has some very real limitations to it. My experience is it will take a lot of different things. Toma was here earlier. He was talking about dry flush toilets. You know, think about it. Why are we using our drinking water to flush toilets? And why are we using water at all? We don't have to. So we really have to think of all kinds of solutions and all kinds of alternatives. The mayor has talked a lot about using our wastewater to grow algae that could then be used to make biofuels. That sounds like a great concept because I really believe that pollution is just a resource that's in the wrong place. The thing about that idea, though, is that's an unproven technology and it's something that we're just starting down the path of, and that may be one part of our solution, but I don't think it'll be our total solution. So I would urge everyone not to be so quick to think that anything you hear is the solution. Just realize that it's probably part of an overall picture and solution.
Thank you very much, Robin.